I was having a bit of a hard time when it comes to what video and topic I would cover in my next video. Would I go back and play an older game that I sometimes do, checking out how it's doing in 2025, or should I maybe play and talk about a somewhat new game? I went into my Steam library and got reminded about a game I made a video about some time ago called Steelhunters. I thought I would first see if there's been any recent updates or news about the game, and the first thing that comes up in my Google search is the fact that the game will be shutting down in October. Yes, Steelhunters is a free-to-play mech shooter from the World of Tanks developers Wargaming Group Limited. And they've now decided to shut down Steelhunters just 3 months after releasing the game in early access. This is the words from the devs themselves. Today we share difficult news. We've made the decision to sunset Steelhunters. You've given us so much passion and support, but unfortunately we've come to the conclusion that continuing development is not sustainable. We know this isn't the news anyone wanted to hear, and we genuinely share in your disappointment. So the servers will run for another 3 months, so I guess that means that they'll shut down around October 8th. Before that happens, the devs will be rolling out custom game support, a game mode that has every mech unlocked, so players can try out anyone they like to check out, and they'll also arrange a farewell tournament organized via the game's Discord server. After I read this news regarding the game being shut down, I also got into the Steam charts since I wanted to see how the trend has been going when it comes to player count after the game was released in early access on April 2nd. The stats aren't great, and just by looking at them, I can for sure understand that this is not sustainable. When the game launched, there was around 1k plus players on average, and with a peak of 3.7k players. Now, around 3 months later, there's only around 116 players on average and a peak of 283 players. Not good numbers at all. You can also play Steelhunters directly via the Wargaming Game Center, but even so, I guess the Steam charts does show that it hasn't gone in the direction that the devs and of course also the core players of Steelhunters wanted it to go. But again, a sharp decline in players since the release and mixed user reviews on Steam makes it really hard to continue. So, is Steelhunters failing because it's a bad game? Well, not necessarily. I mean, Steelhunters is not unique in any way when it comes to being a live service game that is being shut down. And we'll get to that in a moment. When I got back once more into Steelhunters playing, I of course noticed that it was harder to get into matches compared to before, having to wait longer. The gameplay in the background is mainly PvP matches, but I think I also played an AI match since one of these mornings when recording the video, I could hardly find a match at all. Steelhunters is a quite slow-paced mech shooter that caters towards more tactical gameplay and movement compared to some other titles in the genre. Maybe this is one reason why some players didn't come back in order to play more and put more time into the game. Personally, I don't mind the slower pacing since you then have to think and move a bit more strategic when getting into fights with other players. I also finally unlocked the Heartbreaker, which is a sniper-focused hunter, and since I've been maining as a sniper in many other games before, it felt like a good choice for me, and I did have fun playing. But maybe it's not only the slow movement and pacing of the game that has made people shy away from it. Maybe this also has to do with the actual game mode, being an extraction shooter that also incorporates elements of Battle Royale. I do know that a lot of players are a bit tired of seeing another extraction shooter popping up. Personally, I think that the game mode works quite well, although I'm not a big fan of extraction shooters per se. But maybe it would have been wise to add more game modes into the mix already from the start. Now feel free to fill in here what thoughts and experiences you have, and also why you believe that Steelhunters haven't been able to grow or at least keep its players. I mentioned earlier the problems that many live service games are experiencing when it comes to having a short lifespan. Remember Concord, for example. $200 million was invested into this live shooter project, and Sony pulled their game from sale within weeks of release last year. But Concord was at least released, in contrast to other projects that don't even get a release on the market. Despite all of this, some companies continue to chase the games as service (GAS) model, and game companies with a good record tend to have a strong global GAS business, at least according to Sega. But what about the consumers, meaning the players that both invest time and sometimes money also into their favorite game or games, just to see it being sunset months or a year or two after release? It is indeed frustrating on a personal level, although there are other options, meaning games out there that can be played instead. But at the same time, isn't it a pity with all these games and projects that just falls into an abyss and gets forgotten? It's therefore nice to see when some studios choose to hand over the control and possibility to run and play a game to the community, even though there's no future development. But the servers can at least still be up and running, so people can still enjoy their favorite game, although it might be considered to be a dead game. One example of this is Dirty Bomb, a game that I played and talked about several times, which is considered by me to be one of the top 3 best free-to-play shooters I've ever played. Because when Splash Damage, the devs behind Dirty Bomb, decided to stop supporting their game in 2019, the community stepped in and made sure that servers would still be available so the players still could play their favorite game. This is still ongoing in 2025 when it comes to Dirty Bomb, even though there's only a couple of hundreds of people on average playing the game now in 2025. It's therefore nice to see that a consumer movement such as Stop Killing Games is trying to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. An increasing number of video games are sold effectively as goods, with no stated expiration date, but designed to be completely unplayable as soon as support from the publisher ends. This practice is a form of planned obsolescence and is not only detrimental to customers, but makes preservation effectively impossible. Furthermore, the legality of this practice is largely untested in many countries. Over the past year, Stop Killing Games have successfully escalated complaints on this problem to consumer agencies in France, Germany and Australia, and have brought forth petitions for new law on this problem to various countries. So I therefore recommend you to get into the website when it comes to stopkillinggames.com, get your own kind of knowledge about it, and maybe also sign the petition. When it comes to Steelhunters, I'm sorry to see that it's now about to become sunset. Even though it's not a game that I play on a regular basis, I still think every time that a game gets sunset or deleted out of the history of gaming, I think it's bad, because we need the variety, we need options, and as said, when it comes to Stop Killing Games, it's interesting what has been going on for a long time when it comes to these live service games, and therefore I would love to hear your opinion as well regarding Steelhunters, of course, the situation that you guys are in if you're playing the game regularly, but also the overall thought about the live service games and that so many games are just falling short and therefore gets forgotten after some time. Thanks for watching the video, I appreciate it. Take care now, and I'll talk to you soon in another upcoming video. Have a good day, later.